If you're looking for honest, real-world, no BS advice on how to create income, build wealth, and achieve true freedom with real estate, you're in the right place. Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Preacher Podcast Show, where your host Randy Lawrence shares with you his experiences and strategies from over decades as a successful real estate investor. This episode is sponsored by Prosperity Capital Partners. Learn more at prosperitycapitalpartners.net. Now, on to the show.
All right. Hey, welcome. I want to welcome you to just another exciting episode of the Real Estate Preacher Show. Boy, I tell you, we have got a phenomenal episode here today. I've got a great buddy of mine, Myles, on the show. He is just a leading authority in the money management, cash flow, passive investment creation arena. He is an author of the book Entrepreneur on Fire, has been featured in U.S. News, CNN, Money, Bankrate.com, all for helping clients grow their passive income and increase their cash flow, which, I mean, ultimately, that's why a lot of times people are investing us in apartments is because they want greater cash flow. So now Chris had been a financial advisor and in 2006 kind of came clean and became an anti-financial advisor, just saw, hey, I've got better opportunities to offer people through alternative investing than what is available in the mainstream. And so just super exciting to have him share with us about this. So Chris, welcome to the show today. How you doing, brother?
Just fantastic, Randy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I'm so glad to, have you on the show because, again, a lot of the folks that are listeners maybe don't know exactly what you do. So I'm excited to just kind of open up the box a little bit. I know there's people that we've worked together with, and they just have glowing testimonials about what you've been able to help them do. So let's for the audience, let's kind of open up a picture, share like what has been the thing that you've been able to help people with that's been so exciting.
Yeah, like my focus is all about cash flow, right? I mean, I really realized that cash flow creates options. And when you have more options, you have freedom. So ultimately, cash flow creates freedom, right? It's not about how much money you have or assets or net worth. That stuff is basically worthless, It really comes down to is, hey, can I actually create real passive income, right? Passive income that can actually pay and not have to work my entire life. Because I mean, if you kind of came from that world, right? Like we were always teaching people to save everything, spend nothing, invest it in everything but our own businesses, or in other people's lives, gamble, basically gamble our life away. And hopefully 30 or 40 years, we'll have something to retire on, right?
Yeah.
And that accumulation model just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's got to be an acceleration model of cash flow. And that when you turn that perspective and the way you're seeing money on its head, it's incredible, I'll give you an example. I just talked to somebody today, in fact, where they've been debating about whether or not to hire me, right? And it's funny because I've known them for several years, and when they reached out, they said, yeah, like we've got some investment properties and stuff, but it's doing all right, and like we're doing okay, but we feel like we're gonna be working forever, right? Like we're almost 50 now, and we don't want to work forever. She's like, my husband wouldn't mind it because he likes working, but we want to have the option to not have to work so much or not rely on our business to pay for everything in case the business slows down. So they want that freedom and that even some backup plans, right? Just in case. And I looked at their situation. I saw like the properties they had, and I saw like their IRA monies they saved. And they're basically like the epitome poster child for Dave Ramsey, right? Yeah. Like they were saving a whole bunch of money. They were paying off their loans and their mortgages on both their properties and their home aggressively, right? And I looked at it, I said, here's the thing is like, if we basically get you to reverse that mindset that you've had, and they're starting to open up to it a little bit, it's like right now in your situation, like you're making maybe $800 or $900 a month in passive income with 3 properties that you have. I was like, we could actually sell those 3 properties, reposition them, and probably increase that to about $4,500 a month. So increasing their cash flow, with the same money, not even using extra money, right?
Yeah.
Almost like another $3,500 to $400 a month more. Plus, we start doing some other things with figuring out how to like refinance their mortgage and do things with that. I was like, worst case, will probably help you increase your passive income this year by another $50,000.
Wow. Hold on. Let's say, so here they are, got the Dave Ramsey mindset, paying all this stuff off, pay, down. And they're getting $800 a month. And then looking at their situation, really doing a proper analysis of it. And it's like they could make some repositions and go from $800 a month to $4,500 a month. Clearly, which one's better?
Right.
No question. Boom, 4,500, right? It's, I mean, the amazing thing though is people don't know that. They haven't seen that. Like, so again, in this example here, they kind of bought in to, okay. And I mean, think about this for a second, you guys who are listening, right? They've got this property with an interest rate on it, maybe of 4.5 or 5%. And the thought is, you know what, take every dollar you can and pay it down. Like, wow, man, you've got already a cheap, low rate kind of thing going on there, but you should then double and triple down on the payments. That's crazy, but so, yeah, I mean, so that's an exciting thing that, I mean, that's a game changer. Now you got, $4,500 a month that, again, if they didn't want to, take that money now that's being another 50 grand a year directed into other investments that are growing over the next 5 or 10 years as they're continuing to work towards that, Freedom Day,
That's it. I mean, and their goal is only 7,000 or 8,000 a month. That's the crazy thing. And I told them, I said, if they were even open to it, I'm like, technically we could probably hit their goal in 1 year, because they have other assets we could do stuff with. But I was like, even if we didn't touch some of those assets, we just left some of that stuff alone, just repositioned a few things easily. I told them 50,000 a year because I never like to overpromise anything.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, we'll probably increase their overall cash flow from what it is currently, at least another 50 is really 60,000 a year is probably more likely.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing.
And that's what excites me. Like, that's what gets to be fun. Like, it's like that stuff that, you can see, but people just don't see it. Like, they're in their situation. They don't see what's there. And again, we're not taking any more money out of their pocket. It's just taking the assets and the stuff they already have, redoing it in a way that actually creates less risk, right? Yeah. Like for example, they got a $200,000 mortgage they're paying $2,400 a month on because they're trying to pay it off. And I'm like, let's refinance that. I mean, we could do a cash out refi and get a few thousand more a month. Yeah. But I'm like, even if we didn't cash out refi, we can get that payment down to about $1,000 a month. So if there's, and because we went through recessions, right? Sure. I mean, the thing I learned, which was stupid, because I remember in the last recession, I tried to pay off my house more aggressively, got all this equity in there, only to realize it gets trapped because it's the bank that has to give you permission to touch your own equity.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, wait, this is like asking mom and dad for the car keys to my own car, like, that's not cool. And what happens is like, it's like, what if you get into a dire need where cash flow is tight, or you lose a job or something happens, would you rather be paying $2,400 a month on your mortgage or $1,000 a month? I mean, which one's going to feel more liberating or more freeing?
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing even on that too is, like, in today's environment, you can get a 3.5 to 7 fixed rate loan on your primary residence for 30 years, locked in, not to ever change. And it's like, good God. I mean, like, if you can't earn better than 3.5% on your money, what are you doing? And so, wow, what a hopefully liberating thing for them. And hopefully for the folks that are listening, it's like, you think about that, like, okay, so I get it. Like, this thing of, you want to retire and not have a mortgage payment and own your house free and clear. It's like, but yet at the same time, that's like the cheapest money you'll ever get. The bank's almost giving it to you at 3%.
That's right. It is true. Like, and I've run the numbers too. I mean, you were in an event where I showed this example of compound interest versus simple interest, right? Simple interest is what you pay on a loan. As you pay the loan balance down, the interest you're being charged gets less and less. Not because they're trying to do anything to deceive you. It's not like they say, we're going to throw all the interest in the beginning of the loan. It's just because as you pay the loan down, the same interest rate, but there's less you're paying on that interest because the balance is going down, right? That's simple interest. Compound interest has the opposite effect. It goes up over time, right? It grows more and more. And so when you say, like, 3.5%, it's about the going rate right now, 3.75, depending on your state and your situation, for a mortgage. Here's the crazy thing. If you get a 30-year mortgage at, say, it's 3.5%, you only have to earn about 1.6% on your money. Say you had enough money to pay off your mortgage, right? Like,
Yeah.
so this couple's situation, they have 200 grand, they could liquidate and pay off their mortgage today. They haven't done it yet because apparently they haven't ingrained Dave Ramsey enough, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
But they could totally pay it off. But that 200,000, say you just said, no, I'm not going to pay off my mortgage. I'm going to keep it over here earning interest, right? Well, if they earn 1.6% interest, they'll make just as much interest in 30 years at 1.6 as they'll pay at 3.5% interest on that mortgage.
Yeah.
And like you said, like you can get a cruddy CD at 2 or 3% right now, and more than that.
Yeah, for sure.
And you put money in a fund like yours, and it's astronomical. You have a mortgage that could actually create millions of dollars for you more than trying to pay it off today. Yeah. It's ridiculous to want to pay that stuff off.
For sure. It's crazy. Well, and I just talked with somebody, probably in the last 2 weeks, where they had that exact scenario where they had probably, $800,000 of accessibility, and it was at a cost of about 3.5%.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like that's a game changer, right? You're earning, 8, 9, 10, 12% on that money versus 3.5. It's like, wow, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's almost like a sin to not take advantage of that opportunity. Again, done in a prudent, smart manner, because then again, you're freeing up income. And I love what you said, that income gives you options. That's one of the things, one of my mentors, John Maxwell, says, I love options. I want options. And he's always telling his team that it's like, I want options. And that's really the thing. I mean, even too, when we're buying apartment complexes, we want to look at the backside. What's the options? Okay, we've got multiple exit strategies where if we needed to refinance, we could and pay out investors, or we're selling, again, we've got that option. Again, what do we have as options with the overall renovation? Can we have multiple offerings in terms of fully renovated, partially renovated? I mean, that it just provides a greater thing. And I love the fact that, increasing your income gives you as a human being greater options. You can choose, like the lady, hey, I don't want to work, but my husband does. For me, I love what I do. We're fixing to head out to Tahoe, and we're going to buy a house out in Tahoe at some point in the near future, because then I'll be in Florida and then Tahoe. But I can see myself at 80 years old in my office overlooking the lake, still talking to the CEO, doing deals and buying apartments, and because I love it, right? So, at 80, I'll still be doing that, not because I have to, but because I love doing it, and it helps more people, so.
That's right.
Wow. So
I'll tell you, I mean, that's how I've been able to retire twice, like the first time was before the recession, and then, I was done with my money. I was trying to do speculative ventures. And so I went from millionaire to upside down millionaire. I had to dig back out of that hole, and I was able to retire again 3 years ago. But it's true. Like, it's all about what kind of income can you create?
Yeah.
And understand that you're never taught that mindset, because, I mean, ask any financial planner, right? Or any financial advisor. They got so ingrained in their own head. And I know I was there. I was one of those guys that you had to build up your assets, grow it slowly over time, and, ride the waves, of course, of the market. It's all bipolar. It's like a crazy person.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to pull off no more than like 2 or 3% a year so that you don't outlive your money. Right.
Yeah.
And I've run the numbers before, like, if you want to only pull out 3% of your cash, remember, think about this. If you save up $1 million, you're only living on 30,000 a year. Where I know investments kind of like yours, like $1 million, dude, that can make me 120 grand a year, essentially. Sure. It's like,
big difference.
I want 30,000, hopefully, as long as the market smiles on me the right way, or do I want quadruple that? You know?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
The funny thing is, even as you say that, it's like, so when I started off in, I think I got my Series 7 in 92, maybe, right after finishing college. And I started off with American Express, which later became Ameriprise. But so I remember in the training, not only with them, but in ultimate subsequent brokerages, it was like, okay, so maybe the distribution rate at that time was like 8%. And then a number of years later, it was like 6%. And then a number of years later, after I sold my company, and still had guys in the business, then it was like 5% and 4%. And then, like what you said, now it's like, because rates are so low and the returns are not good, now it's like, well, to be safe, you want to do 3%, and it's like over time, it's just gone down, down, down.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part of it is gone like, hey, just push off retirement. Don't retire at 60, 65. Why don't you go to 70? Let's move
Right.
the model out to 72. Like just work till you die, and then
Exactly.
then that'll work.
Hey, live on rice and beans. It's cheap. You'll die faster, so you won't have to have the money last as long. Like, just eat top ramen.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the other thing I love what you said too is about like investing in your own business, because excuse me, I tell that with attorneys or doctors that we work with. A lot of times they can take some of the cash flow, reinvest in their business, and increase their ROI by 20% or more, because their business, it's hands-on. They're already in it, but it's generating a greater return. But in the financial advisor world, they're saying, oh no, doctor, put all that in the 401k, put all that extra money in with me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, because I'll tell you, I had another client recently. She's actually from Georgia, right? She actually was the person that would train personnel and stuff for assisted living.
Yeah.
So she would go in there, train them for a year, and then after a year, they finally start taking checks, right? They start taking withdrawals out of the company. Well, I remember asking her when she came to me, she says, hey, I'm starting to have some money coming in. I want to do real estate investing. I'm like, cool. And as I got deeper, I said, well, tell me about this business you have. She's like, yeah, I go in with a partner. We both put in $50,000 each. So my investment's $50,000. I work in it for a year. I do more of the personnel, HR type stuff and training and hiring. And then after that, we'll get paid anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 a month. And I said, $5,000, $25,000 a month, that's $60,000 to $300,000 a year from $50,000.
It's crazy.
I think the ROI is incredible. And it's like, yeah, you have to work for it. But I told her, I said, you know what, we're going to do a change to your game plan. We're not going to just take the extra money and invest it right now. I'm going to tell you, let's get as much financing we can get so we can buy 3 more of these businesses.
Yeah, for sure.
And do that. You got 4 of these things coming in. That's going to create your income of $20,000 to like well over $100,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
And so she did. And now she's actually selling one of those businesses right now for between $6 and $8 million.
Wow.
To get that cash. I'm like, yeah, that's phase 1. Let's get some cash flow coming in, because you make an extra couple $100,000 a year, regardless. We could throw that into real estate or any other investments, make cool money.
Yeah.
But now you're getting paid because you're selling these businesses off. You're going to get a couple $1 million yourself. Hey, you can use that money. You could be out of the rat race in like a year or 2, essentially,
Sure.
versus her original plan was, if I could do it in 10 years, if I could retire, that'd be so awesome. It's like, we do it fast,
Oh yeah. Well, that's exciting too. So, because again, not a lot of times, even somebody that's, has a measure of financial sophistication, they haven't maybe looked at all the pieces. And that's where, somebody like you can take an objective look, kind of an outside independent look, and say, hey, what about this? Have you thought about this? And
right.
I tell you, I've seen that so much when, just talking with the folks that invest with us, where, a lot of times they're not maybe taking a strategic global look at it. And that's really the key, because when you take a global look at what you're doing, focusing on here's where my end result wants to be, now you've got a more clear picture to see, okay, here's the steps I need to take from where I'm at today to get where I want to be, whether it's 3 years from now or 10 years from now or whatever. And so that's so critical, man. So critical.
That's right.
Wow. Awesome. Well, so like, how can people who are listening right now say, man, I want some help to find out about this? So what would be the pathway? What's the best way to reach out and connect with you and to find out more about how you could be a help to them?
Yeah, one of 2 ways. One, I definitely invite you to follow my podcast called The Chris Myles Money Show.
Absolutely.
I know it's a hard title to remember. It took a lot of marketing time to figure out The Chris Myles Money Show.
Yeah.
But you can definitely follow that. And then you can also check out my website, moneyripples.com. That's MONEYRIPPLES.com.
Okay.
And you can check stuff out there or reach out to me there as well.
Absolutely. Well, we'll also make sure to include that URL for the show or the website there actually in the show notes as well. Again, Chris, awesome. Love having you on the show. Love working together with you too. It's just fantastic to see the results that you've been able to help people with. And, again, definitely you want to reach out to Chris and connect. He's got a lot of great insights and can really help maximize what you already have to be able to increase those investments. So, hey, thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Real Estate Preacher Podcast. I hope today that you learned something that you can immediately apply in your life or business. Make sure that you check us out on iTunes or at therealestatepreacher.com for more information. If you want to find out more about partnering together with me personally on real estate deals, including apartment complexes, go to therealestatepreacher.com and click on the Invest with Randy link. I look forward to talking with you personally. Have a blessed and victorious week, for this is the week God has ordained for you.